For those of you who don't know me, my name is Samantha Hallows. And for those of you who do know me, no, I'm not here to tell a story. I'm not in the super shed, not today. Well, I suppose I am here to tell a story in a way. I'm here to tell you all about the story of the super shed and the learning journey that we went along on the way. So I suppose the super shed kicked off on the 12th of March when I had to close my preschool. And it really was so upsetting walking to the preschool and seeing the empty walls and having to say goodbye to everybody, to the children and the parents, and just all the uncertainty around everything. It was an extremely stressful time. So I thought about it and I knew that I had to do something. So I took into consideration the AISTEAR curriculum. I had a number of ideas and I thought, if I'm really going to follow the emergent interests of the children, I need to consider what do the children love the most in my setting, because every year it varies. You always get a different group interested in different things. So at that particular time, the group were really interested about storytelling, and we used to read endless books together down in the library area. Now, when I say we used to read endless stories, more often than not, I wouldn't get to the end of the book, and I also wouldn't be telling the words from the story because they'd be full of questions, and they love telling me their news as well, because as I'm telling the story, it would remind them of different things that happened in their homes. So I knew storytelling was an emergent interest, so I thought I'll have to go with that. So I considered to myself the environment in which the children really enjoyed. And a lot of the time when we went out to play outside, they'd ask, could they take some books from the library outside? So I thought to myself, that's what I'll do. I'll set myself up in the super shed and I'll read some stories. Now the thing was, with the restrictions, it was quite difficult because you couldn't meet people. So I thought to myself, the books need to be books that I have in the setting. So I decided, I'll risk it, I'll take a chance, I'll send a WhatsApp message to all the parents in the preschool and I'll ask them, does their child have a favourite story from the setting? So I sent a WhatsApp message and I got tons of replies back with lots of different books that I had in the setting. So I got all the books together and I thought to myself, how am I going to record these? So I spoke with my son Aaron, who is currently in 6th year and studying for his leaving. And I said, Aaron, you have to help me. I just have to tell these stories. I need to keep the connections going. I need to sustain the relationships that I've worked so hard to build with the children and the families and the parents and the grandparents that come and collect and childminders. How am I going to reach out to them? So Aaron agreed. He said, don't worry, we'll do it. And he used his mobile phone to video me telling the stories. And he also edited the stories on his mobile phone at that time as well. So the story requests were coming in. We were doing one a day. And we did it from the Monday. We split up on the Thursday, the 12th of March. We did it from the Monday, that following Monday, all the way through to the 26th of June when we were getting our holidays. So the stories were coming in thick and fast, but what also happened was that the children started sending in some fabulous pictures that they were drawing from the stories. And I thought to myself, there's no point in me hanging them up in the classroom because nobody will get to see them. I remember sticking the first thank you card or note that came in on the wall behind me when I was telling a story. And I just thought, do you know what? It's not really showcasing the children's work. I really wanted to raise their work up on a pedestal, but I also wanted the children to be able to reconnect with each other and to be able to connect with friends through the stories. So I had a chat to Aaron and I said, would it be possible that instead of using the book as a prop, could we use the children's pictures? So in effect, it was like a virtual gallery. So I would give a brief description. The parents would send me an email with a brief description of their children's work, and I would use that as the narration piece. And then Aaron was able to edit in a picture of the child's picture that they had sent in to me. So we did a gallery every Friday. Now, when you talk about relationships and sustaining them and maintaining them, you need to make them robust. And over the years, I have had a number of children that have some serious medical conditions and really need that extra bit of support. And quite a lot of these children attend Crumlin Children's Hospital. So I just thought, do you know what? I wonder, could we do a bit of fundraising from the stories? So we set up a GoFundMe page and I told the story Maisie Goes to Hospital, and the response was really amazing. I asked the parents and my local community just to donate €5, and it was just to give a wave to all the heroes in Crumlin Children's Hospital that were working during the pandemic, and it was to show support for the families that really depend on Crumlin Children's Hospital. Because I think when all the restrictions came into place, we kind of forgot that life was still going on, and the problems that these families had before COVID were just really magnified than before. So I suppose I thought to myself, the problems that we had before COVID were still there. They were still the same. The only difference was that they were magnified, and there was an awful lot of operations and procedures cancelled during the restrictions as well. Now, there was a couple of things going on in my own personal life at the time. I was studying for the Link Access and Inclusion, and I was also studying a level 9 in Creativity, Innovation and Leadership in UCD. So I had quite a lot of assignments and quite a lot of work to do online. So I do empathise with anybody who is studying online at the moment. It's quite tricky, and you miss the face-to-face and the contact as well. So I was listening to some TED Talks. I find it really easy to listen to TED Talks, and I was listening to a man called John Maxwell. And his idea around leadership gave me a lot of inspiration to really drive things forward. Because he said that, you know, people, they really, if you don't care about people, well then what's the point? And really, I suppose it got me thinking that in early years education, you can't separate education and care. So I was very grateful to all the parents and the local community that donated some money. It was a huge success. We did another fundraising raffle, and it was fantastic. And it was great, the collaboration and the teamwork between my setting and the parents and the children that come to my preschool and the local community, to be able to collaborate together and to work to raise money for a good cause. So, as we went on and we did the gallery from the stories, it really got me thinking about creativity and innovation. And there is a huge element of risk. I had never been on YouTube before in my life. I never wanted to be on YouTube. And it was great that it worked out, but equally it was a risk. It mightn't have. And I decided that if I was going to do the storytelling, I was going to need some props. And I think the props were kind of like a gift as such, a gift to the children, and maybe a gift to the parents as well. Because I really hoped that when they saw the props, that it might give them ideas to extend the children's learning from the stories. So myself and my two daughters, Georgia and Caitlin, got busy and we started making some props for the stories out of recycled materials. So we had lots of fun and it kept everybody busy at a time when we were quite restricted and we couldn't go out. So the prop making was another branch off from it as well. Something, I suppose, how do you really, value things, or how do you know if something was a success or not? I suppose it depends how you value things. And for me, a lot of the things that I value, you just can't measure. And to start measuring relationships and connections, it's really, really difficult. But what I will say to you is that the Super Shed managed to maintain those connections with the parents and children and grandparents. There was an awful lot of grandparents that were wished happy birthday, aunts and uncles, and there was a lot of news shared through the stories as well, and a lot of things celebrated as well, which was lovely. We were able to share our stories, which was lovely. Initially, we just wanted to share them with the children in the preschool, but what happened was the children started to tell their friends all about the stories, and I couldn't say no. So the friends sent in story requests, and then lots of the local community. And at this time, when children couldn't physically play together, I thought to myself, if this is going to help parents to be able to have a cup of coffee, or if it's going to help develop children's literacy skills, do you know what? We'll just make the link public. We'll share it. So we shared our stories with Bernardo's Early Learning and Development. We shared our stories with Dyslexia Ireland. We also shared our stories with Early Childhood Ireland. And something else happened. When they saw the stories that I was doing, they invited me to write a blog about it. I had never written a blog before, so it was a new adventure. So I ended up writing 2 blogs, and I also wrote a piece for their Pedagogical Times as well. So if you're looking for some bedtime reading, there's 3 articles that you could read. So really, it was an unexpected thing really, because I had never written anything before either. So suddenly I find myself up on YouTube. Then I find myself writing stuff for Early Childhood Ireland. And then I was nominated for a scroll from the Lord Mayor of Dublin for my work. And I was nominated as a COVID hero during the pandemic for the work that I did for my community. And that was a huge, huge honour for myself and my son Aaron, because I wouldn't have been able to do any of this without him, and my 2 daughters that helped make the props as well. So it was a very, very, very huge honour. I do feel though I was in a very luxurious position in that I was just telling stories from my shed. I was doing the things that I would be doing anyway, and there was a lot of doctors and nurses on the front lines. So it was a huge honour to receive the scroll. So really, another event happened then, because time moved on and we got to the end of June. We made it to the end of June and we kept telling our stories every day. And then after the end of June, I spent July and August trying to adapt my preschool to put in place all the measures that were necessary to comply with all the regulations and to make things safer, a safer environment for the children. So I had been sharing the stories with the group that I had at the time on the 12th of March. But what I also did was that I shared the stories with the group that were going to be coming to me in September that had never met me before or my setting. So the parents would show their children the stories, and they requested some stories as well. And they sent in pictures too. So I was really waiting to see what would the reaction be like on the first morning, the end of August, when they all came back to preschool. And to be honest with you, we have never had a year like it. Myself and the 3 teachers that work with me here, we couldn't believe it. The children came running in and they were just absolutely delighted to see the super shed, to see where all the magic happens. And they had planned out things that they were going to play with. They were talking about the stories. So it really, really made that connection and built that relationship at a time when we physically couldn't be together. And something else unexpected happened as well. News of our stories had spread and we were accepted onto Let's Play Ireland, the government's initiative for children to connect with each other, which was a huge honour as well. So the message in our stories started off with a song, and it was a song about washing your hands, because we wanted to make sure that the children were washing their hands and staying safe and playing at home with their friends and their families. So another unexpected thing that happened was that I found myself singing in some of the stories, which is really cringy because I can't sing. And I'm always telling the children in the play school, please sing along with me because you're great singers and I'm not. So I found myself singing songs like the Wonky Donkey, and that's up there on YouTube as well. But something that I really didn't anticipate is that sometimes you can make assumptions in life. And what happened to me was I was saying goodbye to a friend of mine and a child that she minds. And my friend said to me, oh Samantha, do you mind talking to him for a minute because he watches your stories? So I said, oh certainly. And I said, oh, what's your favourite story? And he said to me, oh, Boogie Bear. And I said, oh wow, I said, I love that story. I said, is it because it's about teddy bears? And he looked at me and he said, Samantha, I don't like teddy bears. It's not because of the teddy bears. And I was like, oh, okay. I just thought because you like that one that you like teddy bears. No, it's because it's the longest story. And that really made me feel that, you know, if it touches just one person, if it makes things a little bit easier, well then it was well worth it. So I suppose that's how I would really measure success. So after all the dreadful singing, I thought to myself, I better do something to make up for it. So I did a Play-Doh demonstration as well. And again, it's not that I'm a professional by any means at making Play-Doh at all, but I just thought that it was nice to share that initiative with the parents so as maybe they'd be able to make it at home with their children. So that was another spin-off from the stories as well. So here we are in the super shed where it all began, and what an amazing learning journey we've had. The Super Shed Stories has facilitated children to reconnect with each other. It's also helped us as a preschool to maintain and sustain relationships with parents and grandparents and all the guardians that come and drop off and collect from our preschool. It's helped us build links in our community as well. Recently for Beep Beep Week, at a time when we couldn't have outside visitors coming in, we were unable to have the lollipop lady come in. So we decided that we would tell the 4 stories from the RSA Road Safety Pack, and we'd do an interview with the lollipop lady as well. And it was fantastic because we were able to meet her and she was able to explain to the children how she loved keeping them safe crossing the road. But another side, which was great as well, was that we were able to share those stories with the parents so as they knew what their children were learning when they came to preschool. So it really helped with parental involvement as well. So we're getting ready for Christmas here, as you can see behind me, and we have 5 new stories, 5 new Christmas stories coming to add to our collection. So don't forget, Super Shed Stories is a play partner with CRUMLIN Children's Hospital. And if you would like to make a donation over Christmas, I'm sure CRUMLIN's Children's Hospital will be very grateful. So I suppose on a personal note, I'd just like to say, be brave, take a risk, take a chance, and try something new. And remember, sometimes the most successful things are the things really that you can't measure because they just mean so much. So more stories soon. Bye.